Okay, so there's a problem. I'm showing my game at an expo on December 13th, and it's not even close to finished. I only got like 10 days to get that done, and I still have to do animations, or make a trailer, an itch.io page, get all the printouts that I need for the expo, and so much other stuff. So in this video, we're gonna go over how I did absolutely everything that's left to do in my game in roughly 10 days. Diving right into day one, I received some tragic news. Finn wouldn't be able to continue working on the project due to school. This meant that I now had to learn how to draw and animate both Astro and Radweld on top of everything else I had left to do. And so, most of day one was spent learning how to use different digital art tools because I didn't have enough time to hand paint the art before the demo. Fear not though, I still intend to replace the character art later with hand painted assets, but for now, digital will do. The tool I decided to use for the character art is called Krita because it's free and really easy to use. Day 2 consisted of redesigning the character art style in order to make it quicker and easier for me to animate, as well as creating the first character and adding their animations into the game. I decided to do Radweld's art first because I thought her design would be ideal for deciding the new direction the character art was going to go. What is this new direction for characters? Well, I thought about it for a while and decided the best solution that would be easy to animate while still looking fairly nice was to go with this Kirby-esque art style, with each character only having a head, arms, and legs. And here's the first pass at Radweld's design. It isn't perfect, but I think it's passable for this first demo. And here are her animations. Some of these are a little rough around the edges, but that's fine because I'll have more time after the demo to improve on them. On day 3, I drew Astro and made all of his animations. And here they are. I decided on this blue and pink color scheme because I think it'll stand out nicely against all the colors in the various backgrounds. I do think it's really cool to see how much better Astro's animations turned out than Radweld's. This sudden improvement made me want to go back to Radweld and redo a lot of her weaker animations, but unfortunately I just didn't have time before the expo. On days 4 and 5, I didn't really get a chance to work on the game since it was Thanksgiving and I was hanging out with my family, and then on day 6 I really had to work on that AI project I posted about a couple of weeks ago. After my lovely 3-day break, I really started locking in for day 7. I was able to locate the source of and eliminate a handful of really annoying bugs which had been bothering me for a while. I was also finally able to decide on a name for the game. Are you ready for it? The name of my upcoming platform fighter is Rift Rumble. That's right, I'm calling my game Rift Rumble now. This may seem a little strange. I mean, Rumble makes sense, it's a platform fighter after all, but Rift? Where the hell does that come from? Well, my reasoning for picking this name will become apparent in the coming months, but for now, just know it has to do with a potentially huge feature that I haven't added yet. Also on day 7, I spent some time balancing the fighters a bit, since Astro still sucked shit compared to Radweld, and I think after messing with the knockback and damage of his attacks, I was finally able to get Astro to a spot that I'm happy with, at least in the classic mode. On day 8, I returned to the artsy side of things to draw full renderings of both characters for use in their posters. These two kind of shitty drawings took fucking hours to complete, and I'm still not very happy with how they turned out, but they're good enough for now. I'll probably redo them for the Steam page later. Once those drawings were finished, I worked on designing a couple of poster ideas since I needed a small graphic for the expo. While I was doing that, I also set about designing some of the other graphics for the itch.io page, which I planned to set up on day 9. Which is exactly what I did. On day 9, I began planning and setting up the itch.io page for Rift Rumble. This didn't take too long, so I also set about designing some new maps for both game modes. And here those are. As you can see, I'm trying to diversify the map designs and make them more interesting to play on. When designing new maps, I first sketch a few potential ideas on paper before hopping into Unity to lay out the maps in the engine. The hard part is getting the scale right so the platforms aren't too long or too far apart. Usually getting the scale just right requires me to play the map a few times until it feels right. Of course, it still isn't perfect, but it's usually good enough for now. I can always improve on everything after the expo. Day 10. The fateful day I've been building towards this entire video. So what did I do on day 10? Well, first I spent the day getting the game into a state where builds were fully functional. This took about 8 attempts, but eventually all the major issues that I knew about were fixed and builds were playable without any huge issues. Then I playtested the game for 3 hours with my friends. This was probably the most successful playtest so far, and the game is in a much more complete and fun state than it was even just a few weeks ago. The new maps seem to be really fun to play on, and the fighters are reasonably balanced on the classic mode. Of course, the playtest wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. We discovered a ton of bugs ranging from inconsequential one-off glitches to completely game-breaking. But, finding these issues is the whole reason I do these playtests. The biggest one we discovered is a bug which freezes the player permanently if you forward attack and switch characters at the same time. We nicknamed this bug Permafucked 2 since it's remarkably similar to a bug involving switching characters from multiple months ago which we called Permafucked. Now, the original Permafucked has long since been fixed, but this new one was going to take some time. So first, let's take a look at the other issues we found while playtesting. We discovered that 3 and 4 player games just do not work due to an oversight in my game resetting code. This took about 2 minutes to fix, I just had to move a single line of code to a different function. We found that Radweld is horribly overpowered on the planet mode. This one's a little harder to fix, but once again I buffed Astro's attacks in an attempt to balance the fighters. It was also pointed out to me that aerial combat kinda sucks because of the extremely limited in-air options for both fighters. To fix this, I made small changes so that fighters maintain their momentum when performing side attacks in the air. I also updated the special code so when you hit an opponent, it recharges your special. This way, when you're playing Radweld, you can teleport, then hit another player, then teleport again, all without hitting the ground. Both of these changes should help keep aerial combat feeling fast and fresh, since players can now more easily chase others through the air. So day 11 was all about adjusting projectile speeds and designing new maps, so that way I could have some fantastic...
Wait. I thought you said that you had 10 days to finish the video. Why are you on day 11?
Well, I had 20 days actually, but I gave myself 10, so that way I could spend the last few days fixing any issues that arose during the playtest. So, I guess I did lie a little bit, but it was a white lie, you know, because the game was in a playable state after 10 days, just not the playable state I really wanted it to be in. And for the Expo, I want it to be in the best possible state. Anyways, day 11 consisted of various little fixes and adjustments based on feedback from the playtest the day before. I forgot to mention that during day 10 we recorded all of the 2-player footage for the demo trailer. This is relevant now because on day 11 we spent a little while playing with the newly fixed 4-player matches to record more footage for the trailer. Speaking of which, day 12 was all about editing the demo trailer. Now, editing trailers have never been something I'm good at. Take Euclid Valley for example. The demo trailer for that game was pretty bad and hardly represented the game. Granted, I was extra bad at editing videos at that point, but still, it was not a good representation of my game. I think the Euclid Valley launch trailer was a lot better, but still not as good as it could have been. This time around, I wanted to fix that. I wanted the demo trailer for Rift Rumble to stand out. I wanted it to highlight the best parts of the game and show just how crazy matches of Rift Rumble could be. To help show this, I spent 3 hours creating a minute-long piece of music to build the entire trailer around. This was honestly probably the best place to start because I had no real plan for the trailer and designing the music helped me build a plan for this trailer. So, how did I structure the music? Well, I thought it would be cool to open the trailer with some shots of the different maps, so I opened the music with a slow, dramatic vocal clip. After this, I recorded myself saying, Astro versus Radweld, and then pitched it way down and stuck it into the soundtrack. My plan here was to then show a bunch of clips of the 2-player playtest we did. So next I added some more exciting music with an emphasis on a quick beat which I could use for fast cuts between clips in the trailer. Following that I added another voice line to me saying free for all. Then I reintroduced the action-y music before finally fading it all out for the intro. Here's a snippet of how that music turned out. Since I had already made it for the trailer, I decided to just use a modified version of the trailer music in the actual game. All I did to change it for use in game was simply remove the voice lines and extend the middle sections a bit. I then stuck it into the game to play in the background of all the menus. But now the actual matches were feeling empty and quiet, so I spent way too much time composing 2 more songs, one for the classic mode and one for the planet mode, and here's how those 2 turned out. After that, I spent about 4 hours putting the trailer together based on the music I had just made, and I think it turned out far better than any of the trailers for Euclid Valley. And by the time this video comes out, the trailer should be up on YouTube, so you can go check that out now. Well, now I was in the mood for polishing. So I spent most of day 13 fixing as many bugs as possible. First, I added full keyboard support. This ended up being way harder than I thought it would be. Mostly the hard part was getting mouse input to work properly in tandem with joystick input on the menus. Next, I looked into the weird visual issues we discovered in the 3 to 4 player mode, where players could keep playing even after they die. This didn't affect the matches, since the dead players were still properly marked as dead, so that the matches would end when only one player was properly left alive, but it just looked bad having players who had already died flying around the screen and fighting. Fixing this actually led me to the heart of the biggest bug in the game, one where sometimes when a player dies via the screen edge on the Planet Smash mode, they respawn with negative 10,000 health. I discovered the reason for this was players were being reactivated too early and were getting pulled through the screen edge again, causing them to lose all their health when they respawn, but before the game manager had re-updated the player list for the new match. This would result in the affected players starting with negative 10,000 health, meaning they would die in one hit. The way I fixed both of these issues, both the ghost players and the messed up respawn logic, was by deactivating all player visuals and hitboxes when dead. This simple fix had finally solved the biggest issue in my game. Except it hadn't. You see, this fix had caused the respawn bug to appear less, it hadn't completely removed it from the game, and unfortunately the expo was in 2 days and I didn't have time to fix this bug before the expo. Speaking of which, day 14 was the day I finally called the demo build complete. I finalized the build and finished setting up the itch.io page. I then uploaded that build to itch and put the demo out for the world to try, and at the same time I posted the demo trailer to YouTube. And that's it. The expo's tomorrow, and I think I'm ready. Sure, it may have taken 4 days longer than I planned, but that's why I set my deadlines super early, just in case. So, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out Rift Rumble on itch.io right now. And, as usual, I bid you farewell. Goodbye.